This is the second axis of the temple right here. Here, there used to be 4 pylons. So we have 6 pylons standing in one axis, and we have another 4 standing on the other axis. Unfortunately, that other axis today is under restoration, so we cannot go and visit it, but you could see the crane over there. Beside that second axis, we're going to find over here the sacred lake, which was simply underground water that came out. And they did even healings with the water of the sacred lake. That was much more respected in Egypt than it is in Egypt today. This is the other obelisk of Queen Hatshepsut. That's the second one that was found broken. So some parts are missing because the natives again took them and reused them to be couches and beds. Right behind you, there is a statue of a scarab. The scarab is an insect that lives in Egypt. In nature, it's this size, and it's black. And the ancient people saw in this eternity, resurrection for the sun. They imagined that behind that sun disk, there is a big invisible scarab that is really rolling the sun disk to bring it up, okay, so that it would be a next dawn or it would be a next sunrise. And then, according to the ancient tradition, whoever had a wish, priest took him to where the statue was standing, and then the priest made him go 7 times, hoping that his wish would come true in the future. I heard once one of the guides saying, if you want to get married, then you may go 3 times around it. If you want to get a baby, you go 5 times around it. If you have any other wish, you go 7 times around it. And if you go 10 times around it, guess what? You will get dizzy. All right? I want to give you now a little break to go and see the temple with your own eyes and to explore it.
Well, that was quite a detailed look at Karnak Temple with our guide, Vivian. She really did a good job for us, showing us these sites and explaining all of the meaning and the relevance of the history of this amazing structure. Yes, they've got a cafe. You can buy postcards, sit down and take a break by all means, and then continue exploring Karnak Temple on your own. Get those photos. It's a great photo backdrop, and you can't go wrong with pictures here at Karnak. This is said to be remarkable preservation from 2,000 years ago. And they have these very friendly guides who work at Karnak Temple and indeed at nearly all of the archaeological sites in Egypt. You'll run into these fellows. They're employed by the government to work as guides and to help explain things to people and also to point out some camera angles for you. Now, naturally, they'd appreciate a small tip, a couple of dollars, and they will take you around and show you different perspectives in these temples. These guys really know the area very, very well. Here we're walking through that hypostyle hall once again in Karnak. It's one of the most outstanding features of this amazing temple complex. Huge masonry columns that were constructed in sections, in drums, one piled on top of the other, and then covered with hieroglyphics telling the history, telling the stories of ancient Egypt. And you'll run into some other tour groups as you walk along. It's a fairly busy place. We were visiting in March, and so it wasn't too busy, and you just are free to roam on your own throughout this amazing temple. It's the largest religious structure in the world. Well, today's program has been the beginning of a new series we'll be presenting on Egypt scattered throughout the season.
This is a small cartouche, again holding his birth name, Ra Ses. This is the birth name of King Ramses II, which means the god Re in his childhood. All of this was once upon a time colored. If you don't believe me, just look at the remains of the colors up there. The ceiling, it was not totally and 100% covered, but it was made to make shadow and sun, or shade and sun. So is the nature of Egypt all the time. Shade and sun. And there is a difference in temperature between shade and sun. The more you go inside the temple, the more you'll see it roofed. Not necessarily starting with the hypostyle hall. In Edfu temple, starting from the hypostyle halls, they decided to cover the whole ceiling. In Edfu temple, we'll see a different period. We'll see the Greco-Roman period, and the Greco-Roman period took the Egyptian idea and it developed it to their own ideas and their own theories. Okay, so it's not a pure Egyptian temple like the temple we're visiting now. Not only everything was colored, but also everything was protected and it was restored. And Ramses wrote documentations that he had colored and restored these constructions right here.
The smaller inscriptions, is that was put in at the same time? Or
no, that is graffiti. That is graffiti. You have to know that these temples were reused in the later periods to be sometimes camps for the soldiers. Right on top of the hook, right here. All right? There are sometimes British graffitis. When the people reused those temples, decided to commemorate their names. And these are what we call graffitis. We'll proceed to pass that big obelisk. Mashi, mashi. We're going to find over there 2 obelisks. That obelisk right there is belonging to King Tuthmosis I, who was the builder of the first tomb in the Valley of the Kings. So we saw one obelisk and we said that this is the obelisk of King Tuthmosis I. Where we are standing right now, we can see the remains of the 3rd and the 4th and the 5th pylons. These are the inner stones. Here we're going to find the 2nd obelisk. The obelisk is belonging to the Queen Hatshepsut. Hatshepsut was the brave woman who ruled the country in 1500 BC. And you'll find, again, the cartouche that is holding the coronation name of Hatshepsut, which is Ma'at Kara. The obelisk is still standing in situ, announcing that there was a woman ruling the country here, and her name was Hatshepsut.
Put a stone on stone to make it high.
To make what high? This is a monolith stone. This is one big block of stone. The obelisk is always one big block of stone. How did they make the obelisk upright? There are many theories about that. Many theories. I'll tell you one of them, okay? Which is the one approved by the Egyptian Antiquities Service. What they've done is that they have carved the obelisk first on the ground, and then they'll tie it with ropes. And then they'll bring animals and they will bring people and they will pull the obelisk a little bit to the top. Underneath they will push lots of fine sand and they will release it a little bit so that the animals and the people would relax. And then they pull again, put more sand underneath. And then they'll keep pulling until they put it in the right standing position. Okay? If you don't like that, I have many other stories I can tell you that you will...
Is there any mortar on the bottom? Any glue?
Nothing.
Nothing.
For any obelisk?
Nothing.
Is there any mortar on the bottom? Any glue?
Nothing.
Nothing.
For any obelisk?
Nothing.
Smart. They made it very level.
Yes? Yes. Yes. And besides, we don't have much earthquakes here. Okay?